gonna be you.
Welcome back to Giggles and Gains. So today I wanted to do a bit of a spontaneous podcast. I've actually just run up the garden. I'm a little bit out of breath. So David's here today to record some content with me for the next big thing that we are doing. I might tell you a little bit about that at the end, but it's going to be really bloody exciting. And I wanted to take the opportunity while David was with me and talk through pre-comp. Like, so many people have been so invested in my gut cut journey and the journey to the comp that I wanted to actually do kind of like a bit of a pre-comp diary. What I am probably going to do is actually do a couple more of these kind of episodes leading into the first international competition, which I'm shitting myself about, and kind of do a little bit of a kind of like a vlog. I'm such a YouTuber, about the episode. So I wanted to kick off today and kind of just talk a little bit more about like classic powerlifting, equipped powerlifting, my prep and kind of how I'm feeling, and go into quite a bit of detail about the gut cut. So I guess the first thing, the Manchester Open, which is on Saturday. So we've recorded this episode Thursday lunchtime. So the Manchester Open, I believe it's a national comp. You had to have scored a certain amount of points to enter, and it's majority classic lifters, which basically means in British powerlifting that you're allowed to lift using knee sleeves. Let me just grab my knee sleeves and I'll show you. So knee sleeves, a lifting belt, and like wrist wraps, and that's pretty much kind of what you're allowed to use. Whereas equipped lifting is lifting with equipment. It's actually kind of more old school powerlifting. So I actually just ran up to the house, which is why I'm out of breath, and got my things. So this is like my bench shirt. So you can see that it's a really thick, like, I don't know what you'd call it, nylon? Polyester? Who knows? It's a very thick material. So what it does is, like, as you can see, I'm kind of fixed in this position when I'm benching. So effectively it's creating compression. So as I'm benching, the weight of the bar is actually having to kind of, I want to say crush me, but it doesn't crush me, but helps me lower down. And then I get a bit of a pop off the chest, which gives me more strength. Like, I'm not magically able to bench 120 kilos. I mean, that would be pretty cool if I was. So that's the bench shirt. The squat suit, which is even thicker, and that's this thing here, which obviously is very tight on my quite chunky thighs. And then we're also allowed to use wraps. So these are like really thick, and they act as kind of like compressions around my knees. So they support my knees, but again, they also give me an advantage to lifting. So being honest, like, some people are like, oh, it's cheating. We're in our own federation, we're in our own class. Like, we're not against the classic people. So it's kind of not like we're cheating. So why did I switch to equipped? I actually switched from classic to equipped because I wanted to try something different. Like, powerlifting's quite boring. You're literally doing squat, bench, deadlift multiple times a week in training, and equipped's quite fun. You can lift a hell of a lot more. It's a little bit more dangerous, and it's just a different skill to start to learn. So yeah, that's the reason I made the switch. I was also struggling at the time with, I've got a little bit of a weak lower back. And I found that my lower back was quite often triggered when we were pushing heavier in classic. So, which I'll come on to in a bit, but that's the reason I kind of made the switch. So my prep, this year hasn't been the easiest year as a lifter. I picked up a little bit of a niggle in my left hip around November, which happens. I've been lifting for like 16 years now. I'm not going to be like, I'm 33. I mean, I'm not past it, but I'm not going to be like totally injury free. So I picked up a little bit of a niggle in my left hip. I've got a little bit of a weakness in my back. And then in my last prep, I actually pulled my shoulder. And we got through the comp, but it was about just trying to get through it. And that was in February. So since then, I've been having kind of treatment on it, and the treatment hadn't really been working. So I recently got in contact and switched my approach and tried a physio. And I've been working with Fred at Strong Lines. Now, I think I've had about 4 or 5 sessions with him, and I've got a whole list of exercises that I have to do as part of my warm-up routine, which I actually shared on Instagram the other week. They are so critical, because what we're trying to do is, the reason I've got a lower back problem is because I've actually got weak glutes. My glutes don't fire properly, and I rely quite heavily on my lower back to kind of pull through, which if you ever look at my deadlift, like my deadlift's quite weak at lockout. It's strong off the floor, and then it's like my glutes have to kick in, and they're crap. They haven't come to the party yet. But yeah, so it's been working through kind of those injuries and niggles. We dial the workload back. The niggles kind of start to minimize, and then we gradually increase the workload, and then the niggles come back again. And it's kind of been a consistent cycle of that maybe over the last probably like 6 months, which has been quite frustrating. I feel like we're finally on top of my hip. My shoulder's quite delicate still. So this prep leading into the Manchester Open hasn't actually been my best prep, because we have not pushed any heavy numbers raw. I've just been cruising and coasting to kind of do what I can to manage and maintain injuries. So yeah, that's kind of like the background. I thought I was going to make it onto the team twice. I got sent the invite, and then I was on the reserves list. So in September, I'm going to be on my first international competition, Western Europeans, which is in Malta, which I'm super excited about. So the prep for the Manchester Open has been very much about trying to just keep healthy. Like, it's about looking after the niggles, trying to work with the physio, manage them, maintain them, and strengthen the areas up around the niggles so that they don't cause any bother, which we kind of have done. I think I got to about 3 weeks out, and I had the best session of my prep. I'm really lucky that I don't actually have any pain at all lifting in kit. And the reason being is because the kit's compressing me. So it's meaning that there's more compression, more support around my joints. John, who is my coach, we've actually had a conversation about are these niggles happening because I did my weight cut last year and maybe my body was better lifting at a 76. But that's not really a conversation, because I feel better sitting around 70, 71. I feel better when I do my content. I feel better in my clothes. I just feel confident at this weight. So I won't be going back to 76, but it might end up competing as a low 76 in the future, who knows. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, prep is about being healthy, being about keeping a healthy body. So let's talk about the most common thing that you guys have been totally invested in, which is my cut. So those of you that don't know, I dropped around 10 kilos this time last year. I started dieting, so I just wanted to trim up a bit for a fitness professional holiday in Dubai. I ended up stripping from 80 kilos all the way down to a 69, and decided I was going to compete at 69. And I competed twice at a 69 through doing my own nutrition. I was using a lot of cardio, I was eating a lot of fish, and because being in kit is quite intense on your central nervous system, I found that my first few preps, by the time I got to my deadlift in competition, I was fucked. Like, we had to pull the numbers back, I wasn't lifting as well, so it was kind of really, really frustrating. So speaking to a couple of friends and getting a couple of recommendations, a few people recommended Christian, who I'm using as my nutritionist. He has been fabulous. He is so relaxed, he is so chilled, and I am not relaxed and I am not chilled. So he's really good for me. It has been an absolute joy not having to stress about making weight. Like, he just tells me what I need to do and I've done it. So I reached out to him in May, and we actually started working together around the 20th of June. He wanted 2 weeks of data before he actually made any changes. And I was actually going to Spain the end of June, beginning of July to see my mum. And ironically, I did actually track my calories in Spain. Like, you would have never believed it, but I was budgeting, restricting my alcohol, carefully calculating my calories. I've been sitting at around 71.5 for the majority of this year. And I come back from Spain and was sat at 74, then 73 kilos after water retention. So I didn't do the best things. And actually, like, I'm fucking human. Like, this is my job. And I said to Christy, I'm actually quite embarrassed by this because this is what I do for a living. Like, I should be able to go away and not have had this impact. But anyway, we kind of kept initially in quite a small deficit. So I was just waiting for the first couple of weeks for my weight to settle down post-holiday, and it absolutely did. I ended up back down to 70, well, it was 71.9. I seemed to be sitting around there. So, like, it wasn't that much actual fat from holiday, but it was giving my body an opportunity to kind of recover from the holiday, all the extra food, the different food, and get back to eating its normal routine. So why did I contact Christian? I contacted Christian because when a friend of mine, Catherine, had mentioned to me about gut cuts, and I was like, oh, what's a gut cut? I want to do one of those. She told me about it, and I was like, oh, interesting. Like, that sounds interesting because it would mean I could sit at 71 kilos, drop a couple of kilos the week before the comp, and then compete at where I naturally sit. So I reached out to Christian, I told him what I wanted to do, and yeah, that's that. So the plan was never for me to be at weight like a week out. The plan was always for me to be sitting around 70, 71 kilograms to then gut cut into the comp. In an ideal world, I would have been a little bit lighter, but Muggins here went on holiday. So what is a gut cut? There's many different ways that you can make weight for competitions. One of the most common ways is actually just losing the weight before the competition. One of the other ways, which a lot of like fighters, boxers use, is water and effectively carb manipulation. So you would effectively water load. So this is where you would drink an excessive amount of water, probably like 6-7 litres, a few days leading into the competition. You would then focus on like your salt, your sodium, and also like the carbs that you're eating. And then the day of the comp, or the night day before the comp, you would have minimal water, effectively dehydrating your body. It sucks all the water out of your muscles. So when you then weigh in, I mean, I've heard of some guys like losing anywhere between up to like a stone. You probably have more idea of this, David, than I would at fights. Like, they're literally like, they can drop loads and loads of weight. So that's one way to do it. But obviously, if you are totally dehydrated when you then compete, that's going to possibly impact your performance if you don't rehydrate and refuel properly. So a gut cut is basically where you eat the same macronutrients. So your macronutrients are your proteins, fats, and carbs, okay? So you're eating the same macros, but you're eating them in different food types. So you're trying to eat them in easily digestible food that then allows you to not hold any shit in your gut, so you then weigh in lighter, okay? So you're still getting all your energy from your food, but you're not effectively holding on to the excess fibre, the excess crap in the gut, excuse the pun. So how have things changed in terms of my diet? So I started my gut cut on Tuesday, and Christian asked me to weigh myself in the morning and then weigh myself in the evening. And my day one weight in the evening was already 2 pounds lighter than the day before. So what was my nutrition on a gut cut? I was eating 2,160 calories. I ate 140 grams of protein, 250 carbs, 60 fats. So I decided to choose foods to eat for my gut cut that I could get a lot of food in. So I opted for crunchy nut because it's really low in fibre. So the other thing, guys, gut cut foods need to be low in fibre because obviously it's the fibre that holds the weight. So crunchy nut, I went for natural yogurt, and I chose clear whey, okay, because it's easily digestible, easy to get in. And I've been eating that meal 4 times a day. I then have a lightly dusted haddock meal. I can't have plain white fish. I've got PTSD from bodybuilding. And I then finish my day with some ice cream. So that has been my day for the last 2 days now, and I'm on day 3. The only thing that's changed is I dropped 100 calories yesterday. So I woke up the morning after my first day of the gut cut and I was 2 pounds lighter than the day before. Day 2 into my gut cut, 100 calories less. I am now 1.5 pounds lighter. So I've gone from, I'm just going to actually look at the data. Gone from being, sorry, this is probably boring. Okay, so I've gone from on Monday weighing in at 71.15 to then Tuesday, that the morning of gut cut, 70.95. And then on Wednesday, 70 kilos. And then this morning, we are 60.8 on the dot, okay? So then we've got today. So there's been changes to my nutrition today. I'm not gonna be eating any solids in the evening. So I've had my fish for lunch, and I've then had, I'm gonna have my clear whey, and lovely Christian has given me 250 calories or 50 grams of nuts of my choice for my evening meal tonight, which I'm very excited about. And then I'm gonna have some ice cream. So we've reduced the solids foods in the evening, so hopefully I should then weigh in lighter tomorrow. We've then got one more day tomorrow. The other changes that we are gonna be making tomorrow is the fish is gonna go, because that has sodium in it, salt, and I don't want to be holding on to any salt. And if we need to, we can drink a little bit less water tomorrow. I've been drinking somewhere between 6 and 7 litres of water just because it's hot and all the clear whey that I've been having. So yeah, so that's the gut cut. The idea is I'm weighing in at 12 o'clock on Saturday, and I will be on weight. So in the morning of the comp, I'm gonna effectively get on the scales with hopefully being a little bit under with whatever I wanna eat that morning to make sure that I then will make weight at lunchtime. So I should be bang on the money. And then it's gonna be a case of actually refueling and rehydrating through like electrolytes and more simple carbs. So the thing that I've not mentioned already is the biggest change through protein has gone from solid forms of protein to liquid forms of protein other than the fish, which is easily digestible. The carbs have gone from complex carbs like bagels, oats, rice, to simple carbs, which is basically just sugar. So like crunchy nut, chocolate, ice cream, they're my choices. And then I'm getting my fats through my natural yogurt. Okay, so comp, what am I expecting? I'm absolutely terrified that I've made such a big deal of this and then I'm gonna bomb. So bombing basically means, I shouldn't talk about this, but bombing basically means if you miss all 3 of one of the lifts, you bomb, you don't get a total. But that's not gonna happen. So I'm gonna be opening on 185 kg for squat and hopefully getting to 110, which will be a triple bodyweight squat. So I'm fucking buzzing for that. I wanna open for bench on 105 and I'm hoping to get to 120. And for deadlifts haven't really been playing ball. Like all my little niggles have really impacted deadlifts the most. We've not really had an opportunity to peak it. I was in a deadlift suit, then I wasn't in a deadlift suit, then my back was funny, then it wasn't funny. So I'm hoping that we're gonna open on 150 and I'm hoping we're gonna finish on 170. So I'm trying to manifest that 170 lift at the minute. If you wanna watch the comp, it's going to be streamed on YouTube and I will post a link on my Instagram story. I'm on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and how it works is my flight, the people in my group, everybody will do their squat, then there'll be a little break, everyone will do their bench, then there'll be a little break, and everyone will do the deadlift. And I think Manchester Open, the winner is determined based on your points, so your body weight versus the weights that you've lifted. And yeah, that's it. So if you want to watch, stay tuned. I actually feel really, really good. I feel energized, I feel good, I fully trust Christian. I've really enjoyed working with him. It's made my life so much less stressful. He just tells me what to do and I do it. And it's just been a really enjoyable prep. Like equipped lifting is so much fun. Like I just enjoy it so much more than classic powerlifting. and John makes me feel at ease. He's been a fantastic coach throughout the whole time I've been working with him. He coaches me exactly how I like to be coached and how I coach my clients, like direct, clear, concise information with a little bit of fun sometimes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will try and do a post powerlifting comp episode and a bit of a series leading into my first international. But thanks for watching.